I fell in love with this cat on moon design from the first moment I saw it a few years ago, but I was always way too intimidated to try it. I think I overcomplicated it in my head, but I finally decided to give it a shot and I love the way it turned out and I'm so glad I did this. I just kind of had to get over my fears and just try it. So if you want to see how I created this set, stick around and I will show you my process. For my colors for this set, I'm using some of the dips from the Ghost Story collection from CN Designer Dips, and I absolutely love this collection because they're all gray tones, and gray is one of my favorite colors, obviously behind purple, but I just thought it would be perfect to create this look. I'll also be using Light Up the Night, which is a white dip powder that glows blue, and that's going to go under my middle finger, which is going to have the cat on moon design. And of course, I'll be using my CN Designer Dips dip liquids for this set as well. Jumping into my mani, I'm going to be starting with Light Up the Night because it is my only solid, and I want to make sure I give it a good stir just to mix in and reincorporate those glow powders, just because I want to get a really good glow out of this mani. I do have a really thin layer of builder gel on all my nails, and that's because I accidentally broke a little bit of my ring finger, so I had to build out an extension for that to make them all the same length. So I figured I might as well just go ahead and add a thin layer of builder gel to the rest of my nails so I didn't break them as well. But they are looking matte because I am not wearing peel base. So this is the set I'm wearing to Texas for my work trip. So I want to make sure my nails last the whole trip. So I'm not going to use peel base, and I did rough up the surface a little bit just for longevity. I'm only going to do one dip of Light Up the Night, and that's because I'm just using it as a base for the glow and not really for the white powder, because I'm going to dip glitter on top and I'm going to do a little bit of a sort of an ombre. So it doesn't really matter. I just really want the glow as my base. So I applied a thin, even layer of dip base to my entire nail. I dipped into Light Up the Night, and now I'm cleaning around my cuticle area just to make sure I don't get any excess product on my skin, because I don't want to cause any lifting, especially when I'm out of town. So I'm dusting off the excess powder. I don't cap and clear, and I don't activate because I'm going to dip on top of this. So if I get a stray glitter, that's totally fine because it's going to be covered in glitter anyway. So the next color I'm using is Graveyard, and this is a beautiful gray shimmer. And if you've been around, you've heard me rave about the CN Designer Dips shimmers just because they are such heavy shimmers. They are one coat coverage. I really think based on the sheen that's on my skin that this one can be chromed, and I bet it would be beautiful. So I may have to try to chrome this, but just look at the coverage I get in one dip. I mean, normal process, I'm going to do 2 dips anyway, just because I don't want my nails to be too thin. But if you're not worried about the thinness or thickness of your nails, you really could get away with 1 dip just because it is full coverage. I'm going to wait to cap everything clear until the end, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next color. So this one is Lycan. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, so pardon my mispronunciation of it, but that's going to go on my thumb, and I'm also going to use it for a little bit of the ombre on my middle finger. So this is also a heavy shimmer, and this one is really interesting. So it's like a dark gray, but I almost feel like it's like a navy gray. So I feel like it does have blue to it, but it's a really deep, rich color. And then it's a heavy shimmer as well, but it's got like green and teal and purple shimmers. And it is just so gorgeous. I mean, just look at that coverage. I do have a confession though, that even though I absolutely love this color and I think it is stunning, after I finished the set, I didn't really like the way it flowed with the rest of my nails. And I'm not really sure why, because it matched. I don't know, maybe it was just because it was only on my thumb and a little bit on the ombre on my middle finger. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was too dark. I'm not really sure, but something about it I didn't really like with the set. So I actually ended up filing it off and using Shiver, which is the next glitter I'll be using. And I thought that flowed a little bit better. But the pictures I show, I have pictures of wearing this one on my thumb instead. But I did want to mention that I actually ended up changing it after the fact. And this is Shiver, which is the glitter I used when I changed out my thumb, but initially I only had it on my ring finger, but I'm definitely glad I changed it because this glitter is so pretty. So this is a mixture of all sizes of glitter, so it's got chunky glitters in it, but it's not just chunky glitters. So it's got the large, medium, and small hex glitters, and I love the variety of colors in here, and it kind of like lightens up the set so that it's not too dark, and it's just so gorgeous. For my first layer, as I do with most of my chunky glitters, I poured over rather than dipping in, and that's because I really wanted to focus on getting more of the finer glitter pieces, the acrylic powder, and less of the larger glitter pieces, because the larger glitter pieces can create bulk. So I'll really focus on getting the larger pieces on the second layer rather than the first layer. So for the second layer, I poured the rest of my jar into my Chaos Gemerald by Chaos Concepts. I gave it a little shake to bring more of the larger pieces to the surface because they are larger, so they're a bit heavier and they tend to sink. So I applied a thin, even layer of dip base to my entire nail, and then I'm going to lay my finger into the glitters, and that's going to pick up more of the chunkier pieces. So you can see here it is packed full of glitter. So I'm just going to press down, making sure everything is laying flat. Now for the nail I'm most excited about. So I'm going to be using Chill 2.0, which is a beautiful fine silver glitter, and I'm going to be using for the border of that nail Lycan, however you pronounce it. So to make it easier, I'm going to go ahead and pour both jars into my Chaos Gemeralds just so I can easily get to the powders. So what I want to create is kind of like a silhouette border. So I'm applying a thin, even layer of dip base to my entire nail, and remember I've already got a layer of Light Up the Night on this nail for the glow. So I was kind of figuring out what order I wanted to do, but I am using eyeshadow brushes, and I decided to start with, let's just call it Lycan. And so I initially thought I was just going to do like the tap ombre method with this really thin eyeshadow brush. But because I don't have a lot of nail estate, because this is my natural nails, I was afraid I would make the border too thick because I wanted it really thin. And since this is a really heavy shimmer, I decided to just dip my eyeshadow brush in the shimmer and just press it around the border using this thin eyeshadow brush. And that way I can kind of control how large or small my border is. So I turned my hand upside down to get off any of the excess powder, and then I'm using my other eyeshadow brush in Chill 2.0 to tap in the glitter on the rest of that wet dip base. And you can see I've kind of got like a little bit of the darker border, but I want most of my nail to be that lighter, brighter silver glitter. I went ahead and capped and clear, activated and filed and buffed off camera, so here's how it's looking. But now let's get into the nail art. So I'm going to be using these two gel art liners from CN Designer Dips. the white and the black, but I'm not going to end up using the brushes that are in the bottle. So I'm just going to place a little bit of that gel on my resin palette, and this one is from Resinating Crafts RVA. I'll leave the link for that shop down below in the description. And I'm going to use my favorite line art gel brush, and this is from the Painted Desert, and it is the thinnest brush I own, so I love using it for the smaller details. So I'm going to try to create like a crescent moon. So really my goal is to create a C, and then for the moon I can focus on making it a little bit thicker, like in the middle of the moon, but I can start off with just making that C, and then I can work on making it a little bit thicker. So I'm not really worried about the thickness at this point so much as like the size and the shape. Like I don't want it too small because I want enough room to draw that cat in. So I want to take up as much nail estate as possible, because you can see where I have that chilled 2.0. I did as much of it as possible, which is why I made the border super thin, so I would have a lot of room to do the moon. So I like the shape of the moon, but I thought it was way too small. And so the good thing about gel is if you don't cure it, you can just remove it. So I'm taking a lint-free wipe and some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to wipe it away and try again. And to be really honest, it took me 3 tries to get it the way I wanted it. I spared you my second attempt, but here is my third and final attempt on the moon when I was finally happy with the way it turned out. So like I said before, I'm just really concentrating on getting that C shape as large as I want it, and then I will focus on making it a little bit thicker in the middle just to get more of that crescent shape. So I find it easier just to do this in like small increments, piece by piece, rather than trying to do the whole moon in like one swoop. And that way I can really focus on getting the size and the shape I need. So I'm really taking my time because this is my third attempt and I want it to be my final. So I want to make sure that it is large enough. So I'm just slowly kind of building and making it a little bit longer just to make it into that C shape that I'm looking for. And then I've kind of got that shape I want. So you can see here what I was talking about, like in the middle, I'm just expanding it a little bit more outwards just to make it a little bit thicker. Once I was happy with the moon, I gave it a quick flash cure for 10 to 15 seconds just to freeze it. And now I'm going to use the black gel art liner for the cat. And for the cat, I'm going to be using this double-sided dotting tool, and I'm going to start with the largest end, and I'm going to dip it into the black gel and just place a large dot sitting on the moon. And I was trying to make it larger, and then it became like a little lopsided and it didn't look like a circle anymore. So of course I'm going to try again. So I'm going to take a lint-free wipe and some isopropyl alcohol and start again, because I should have left it alone and I shouldn't have tried to make it larger. So I'm going to try again. I'm just going to let the alcohol dry for a second, and then I'll dip my dotting tool back into the black gel, and then I will place the black dot sitting on the moon, and I'm going to leave it as is. And so I'm going to take the other end of the dotting tool, which is a smaller dotting tool, and I'm just going to place a dot on top of that. And I'll make it a little bit larger, but I'm going to be a little more careful this time because I don't want to make it lopsided. So you want a larger dot and then a smaller dot sitting on top of it. And that kind of makes the base of your cat. I know right now it looks like an ant, but it'll start to look like a cat. So I'm taking my liner brush again, and then I'm just gonna draw like little triangles on top of the smaller dot, and that's gonna be the ears for my cat. So I'm being really careful when I'm doing this because nothing is flash cured. So if I mess it up, I'll have to start the whole thing all over again. So I'm just very slowly and very carefully trying to draw those triangles to make the cat ears. And I'm sort of using like the excess gel in the body of the cat and dragging that gel up so I'm not using more gels. So once I've got that set, I'm going to kind of draw the tail of the cat. So going from the bottom of the cat, I'm going to draw like a curved line, and you can make your tail look however you want. You can make it straight, you can make it more curved, you can make it curly, however you want to do. But I decided just to make it a little curved, and then I gave it a full cure for 60 seconds. And now we're going to go in with my dip top coat. And while it wasn't the easiest, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I'm definitely glad I finally tried it. So I'm applying one final layer of activator to all my nails, and then I'm going to wait a full 2 minutes for my activator to dry, and then I'll go in with my dip top coat. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles, and I'm using my Scales of a Mermaid cuticle oil. This is in the scent Champ, and Champ was created in memory of Pat, who's the owner of Scales of a Mermaid, her dog Champy, and I absolutely love that. I think that's the sweetest thing, and since I have a cat on my mani, I thought it would go well to use it for today. And here we are with the finished look. What do you think? It's not perfect, but I am super proud of myself for finally tackling this nail art, because I am serious when I say I have been in love with the cat and moon design for years and was way too afraid to try it. So I'm definitely glad I finally did it, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out, and I've been loving wearing it while I'm in Texas. This does make me curious though, what nail art techniques or designs do you really love that you have been too intimidated to try? Drop that down below in the comments, because I feel like everyone has something that they're just really intimidated by for whatever reason. So I hope you found this video helpful, and maybe it'll inspire you to try your technique or design that you've been too afraid to try. And I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.